I am going to show you how to make a basic mandala component. These are not the mandalas themselves, these are just the components. I am super picky about my points. I want nice concentric symmetrical shapes that do not have a bunch of extra points. I am not going to just go to Google, trace something, and slap that image into my mandala. It drives me crazy to have all of these extra points that I don't need. So I create my own shapes, and when I do that, I make a copy of the shape and I save it to this crazy file that I have called Mandala Components. This is not a cut file. I am never going to cut anything off of this from this file. This is just a place to save all of the shapes that I have made that I like. Also, I have some other fancy things I plan on using in the future for these type of things, and I've saved them to this. These are all public domain pictures, or they are ones that I've created myself. Sometimes they are ones that, like this one over here, I created for Mandala. I didn't like how it looked, but I really liked it for something else in the future, so I saved it to this so I didn't have to start all over. So I'm going to show you how to make a basic teardrop and a basic triangle. I might as well make a diamond while I'm at it because it's super easy. It's the same process for all of these shapes. As I get into making fancier mandala shapes, I will include how to do those in the videos that are coming. So we're going to start with a teardrop. So we're going to start with a circle, and this is going to be a symmetric circle, so we want to hold the shift button down while we're making our circle. And now we have the shift button. So I'm going to bring up point editing. Now point editing works in a circle. It does not make mirrored or symmetrical shapes. They don't look the same on both sides, which drives me crazy. So we're only going to work on half of our circle, and then we're going to delete the other half in order to make things perfect, because I'm just really picky. So I want to move my bottom point here down because I want to turn this into a teardrop. I want to move it down by quite a bit. So I'm going to hold my shift button down and I'm going to hit my down arrow. And the reason I'm not going to use my mouse to move it is because I know that if I hit the down arrow, it's going to stay lined up this point to this point. If I use my mouse, I am not going to be able to make that line up right. And again, I'm super picky. And I will also show you why everything needs to line up perfectly in the next step. So what I want to do here is I want to turn this into a corner. If I try to manipulate this now, it's going to bring the other side down, and I don't necessarily want that. It just kind of throws off how the whole thing looks while I'm trying to work on it. So I'm going to turn this into a corner, and I'm going to bring this one up here. We're going to kind of make it a fancy teardrop. And I'm going to rotate this one over. You can make any shape you want this way. I'm just making a teardrop because it just happens to be easier. This can be used as a flower petal. You can do point editing to make longer petals. I've done that. As you can see, all of my other shapes on the components page they're the same type of thing, but they're just a little bit different. And that way I just don't have to go through and do this every single time I'm making a mandala. So I've clicked on the bottom point. I'm going to hold the shift button down, and I'm going to click on the top point, and I'm going to break the path. And this is going to allow me to right click, release compound path, and delete the other side that I don't like. The reason that I had to hit the shift arrow, the reason that I had to use the arrows to move everything down rather than doing my mouse this is why. So when I go over here, I'm going to choose the replicate panel and I'm going to mirror it. Because I use the arrow keys, I know that my shapes are perfectly lined up the way they're at now. So I am going to select both the shapes, right click, make compound path. Now when I double click, you can see that I have the red dots still. Those red dots make things harder to cut. They will not allow me to fill this shape. I will not be able to subtract from this shape. I will not be able to weld this shape. It will just not work. So I need to fix those. All you do is click on them. And sometimes you have to click twice, but usually you just have to click once like that. So this shape is done. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller and move it off to the side. Now, to make a diamond and a triangle, these are super easy. You are going to start with a square, and I'm going to hold the shift button down again so it is 1.75 on all the sides of the square. So I am going to go to my transform panel. I'm going to click on rotate, and I am going to rotate this to a 45-degree angle. Now to make a diamond, I'm going to double click, get the bottom point, and I'm going to count every time I hit this time. I'm going to hit shift arrow 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to click on the top one, hold the shift button down, arrow 1, 2, 3. Now I know that this shape is a perfect diamond. Now you can go 5, you can go 10, you can do whatever you want. So I'm going to hit undo here and take it back to my square to show you what we need to do to make a triangle. All you do is you're going to double click to bring up your point editing, and you're going to click on that bottom point and hit delete. Now you have a triangle, and you can actually do the same thing you did to make the triangle taller, shorter, smaller, longer, whatever you need to do. Using the shift arrows and the arrow key allows you to keep everything lined up and symmetrical, again, which I am so picky about when it comes to my mandalas. I don't like extra points. That makes them harder to cut, and they already take forever to cut. So that is how you make the basic mandala components. You can start your own mandala component page, and that will make things a lot easier as we're going forward.